first of all, as you can see, I don't have any shoes. It makes me more comfortable. You can do the same, provided you showered this morning, because if you didn't, it's not a good idea. Who here is on Tinder? Oh, come on. Don't lie. Don't be shy, exactly. Okay. Not enough people. So please remember that if you said that you're not on Twitter, you can't understand the jokes. So if you laugh, I know you're lying. So because this is about Tinder, we're going to be talking about stuff that people on Tinder do, sex, for example. And it's going to be mentioned, so this is like in the movies, they say there is a mention of sex and some pictures of people. And another thing about this presentation, I'm showing screenshots of Tinder profiles. So these are real people. This means that when you see the left side, which says, sorry, no media, you're not allowed to take photos. Okay? I'm serious. You're not allowed to take photos. This is people's privacy. Because tomorrow it could be you. And when you have the other slide, then it's okay to take photos. So let's start. Building a profile. There are many ways to build a profile, and there are actually many articles online that tell you how you should build your profile, how to choose your photos, what to say on your profile, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. It's really a big community, but better than all the articles is actually what the CEO is saying, because who knows better than the guy that invented the software, right? So I took his advice. The first advice is you have to have a professional profile photo, right? So I have a professional profile photo. We took it for the company, and that was the first one. Then you have to have a photo with an animal. Why? I don't know, because people relate to that. So here's an animal. Anybody knows what that is? It's not a sloth. It's not a sloth. It's called a slow lorry. This was taken in Myanmar, in Burma. Right? So we have a photo with an animal. You need to have a photo with you doing sports or doing a hobby, right? To show you have a life other than Tinder. And that's me. And guess what? There's also an animal here. So I can do both. This is a dolphin. This is in Eilat, in my home country. Next, you need something at work or where you look official, right? Anybody recognize the outfit? Okay. So now that we did that, I can take this off. It's really hot here. Okay. Thank you. So let's continue. We have that. And the last one, silly or creative. Anyone from the Netherlands here? No one? Okay, this was taken in, it's called the Koninginnennacht, the Night of the Queen. It's like a big celebration every year. So I'm covered. I have all the profile photos. I followed all the advice, and we can start. In May, I went to speak at a conference in Copenhagen, and interesting things happened in Copenhagen. This is the part where you stop taking photos, because we're going to see profiles of real people. Thank you, I saw you. So you go to Copenhagen, and when you browse Tinder, because this is what you do, research says that there are 11 or more than 11 million users on Tinder, and they all use approximately 90 minutes of Tinder a day. It's amazing. So you see amazing women, right? Gorgeous. Now, it's a matter of taste. Maybe some of you think they're ugly, and it's okay. But I was like, wow, dude, this is cool. And soon enough, I start getting matches. Now, the newer version of Tinder has sound, which is kind of annoying. And it's like this secret handshake, because if you sit at a place and you hear that sound, then you know the other guy is using Tinder. So you look at them and it's like, I know. But I start getting matches, and not just one after another. You can see here, I have 8 matches. This is a little bit small. 8 matches in a matter of minutes. And I'm like, well, I'm from the Mediterranean. This is Scandinavia. And then I get a message. Is anyone from Denmark here? Where's David? Is David here? Because David is from Sweden. He's also a speaker here. And this is a message from Adrian, and this is Adrian. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. I'm off to a good start. I don't know what she says, but she matched me, so right, that's what's important. And then let's look at the message. The message says, basically, I just broke up with my boyfriend. I like having sex with strangers. If you're interested, let me know. Let's chat here. This is there's a nice URL here. Now, you know, I'm on Tinder, but I'm also a security researcher. So I opened a VM, and I opened this on a laptop, and I got somewhere. I won't spoil the surprise. This comes back later. Okay? And it turns out that I'm really, really popular. How popular? This popular. Now, as you can see, they're all sending me the exact same message. And anyone from Israel here? Should be like 1 or 2 people. So, wait, you probably won't hear it, but... Okay, this is a famous Israeli stand-up. He says, this is where I got suspicious. So for all the non-Israeli, this is from The Incredibles. Coincidence? I think not. So at this stage, I'm like, okay, something's fishy here. And of course, it hurts my ego because it turns out that I'm not as popular as I thought. But now I start to analyze the profiles. All together, I found 57 bots. Now, please understand that it took me some time to start noticing the pattern. Once I started noticing the pattern, I started taking the screenshots. So the fact that I have screenshots of 57 bots does not mean that there were only 57. There were many more, because I didn't match with all of them. I matched with many, but not all. So 57 bots, and here's the distribution. Places of education, 29 of the 57. 26 places of work, and only 11 professions. Now, even that statistics does not make sense. How come 57 different people only share 11 professions? And let's look at that, the distribution. PR and communication, 9. And this is how I started noticing it, because as I was browsing through the profiles, and I'm looking at the information, and you see what I did there? It's like I read Penthouse for the articles. I was looking at the text. So I start seeing similarities. Things come over and over and over again. That was when I actually started taking the photos. And of course, flight attendant, that actually makes sense because they travel a lot. They probably don't have a boyfriend. But, you know, interior designer, speech language pathologist. Does anyone know what that is? Because I think it's like 2 different things connected, like speech therapy and pathologist. Pathologist, as far as I know, it's a kind of a doctor. And personal trainer, and model person and model people, which I'm not exactly sure what the difference is. And nursemaids, it's nice. And then the place of education. So this is Copenhagen, so obviously they all have Danish education. And here you can see that there's a bigger variation, but still some of them repeat. And you can see different faculties in different cities. And if you put them on the map, you see that except for one, which was in France, all the others are really in Denmark. Okay, can everyone see the map? They're all in Denmark, which makes perfect sense. But then you go and you start looking at where they work. And that's when it gets interesting. Because if you don't pay attention, first of all, as you can see, there are 6 models there. Of course, to say that you're a model and to have a very good profile photo, it works very well on Tinder. But some of the names here, like London Institute of Personal Training. And remember, I'm in Copenhagen. So this doesn't make so much sense. If you take all these and you put them on a map, then with the exception of one, they're all in the UK. And with the exception of one, they're all in London. So wait, I am in Copenhagen, and I'm matching with a woman with a Danish name and a Danish education, but she works in London? Are they all on the same weekend vacation? I don't know. So, back to no media. It turns out that these are stolen identities. There are some people that actually exist, but the profile that I'm seeing on Tinder is fake. And how do we know that? If you look at these profiles, I don't know if you can see the names. This is where the name is. Ariel 27, Lily 28, Delphina 26, Debbie 23. But on the bottom part is where they put the text. It's a free text. You write whatever you want about yourself. And there's actually a mismatch between the name of this person and the information in the free text, because many times there is an Instagram link or a Facebook link, and those have other names or maybe other ages. And this doesn't make sense. Something is very, very fishy here. So I started tracking them. I said, okay, I want to see what's this about, all right? Let's take this one, for example. Kylie, but if you look at her Instagram, it says Hele Thingod, which is a Scandinavian name. And this doesn't say Hele. And if you look that up, if you use this Instagram name, you actually get to an Instagram photo. Now guess what? It's not the same person. And you can actually find her on Facebook as well. Same picture as the Instagram, and not the same picture as Tinder. So someone stole that person's information and matched it with somebody else's photos, and then made up a name, education, workplace, and so on. Let's look at another one. Latrice. I'm not very good with American names, but I'm pretty sure this is an African American name, but let's put that aside. Latrice 27, but actually the Instagram and the Snapchat both say Olivia Meyer. Once again, completely different name. If you look Olivia up, you will find her on Instagram and on Facebook. That's a real person. Different person, but a real person. All right? So, that was back in May. Last month, I was in Denver in Colorado. I was speaking at Virus Bulletin. It's a malware research conference. And by that time, I was already writing this presentation, and I was starting to track information. I was looking for more and more bots. I actually installed Tinder Plus. Tinder Plus is when you pay them. It's not a lot. I think it's like between something like 25 euros a year. And then you can check in anywhere you want. You can say, I'm in Bucharest, but actually be in Tel Aviv. And I start scanning. And first of all, I hope you'll notice that now I can Tinder all day and say, I'm sorry, I'm working. This is business. Right? So I got the perfect cover story. And then I got to Denver, and guess what? I also have bots in Denver. Now, some of them, like the ones in Copenhagen, they take the direct approach. They just send you one message. This is Antje. I think it's a Dutch name, I'm not sure. And she just says straight away, wanna bleep me? Let's make plan here. Now notice the bad English. This is something that is going to come again and again. And then there's a link here. The link is bit.ly. Now, why would she do that? Why would she put a bit.ly? And once again, you open a VM, and you track that, and it turns out that this leads you to some obfuscated mobmedia.xyz link, and that in turn leads you to a website that is called dailysexwith2x's.com. And guess what? That is not a dating site. This is a screenshot from that place. Warning, you will see nude photos. Please be discreet. So everybody avert your eyes. No, kidding. Right? But some of them actually started to chat with me. And that was interesting because that was a first. Okay? Let's look at, I think it was Star. Yes, this is Star. We like each other. I took a screenshot of the match moment. By the way, a Tinder match moment is one of the most exciting things that can happen to you. It's like winning the lottery. It's like, and she starts to talk to me. Hey, baby. Now, by this time, I already suspect that it's a bot. So what I'm trying to do, I figured I wasn't that popular. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to answer trick questions to see whether it's a person or not. And it's not exactly like a Turing test, but I am trying to be a little bit sophisticated and see whether the answers that I'm getting are actually considering what I'm actually saying, right? And then I say, yeah, this is too far for me. Quite the nocturnal type, are you? And I was pretty sure she doesn't know what nocturnal is. But no, apparently she does. And she says, I want to go get beers tomorrow. Good. Now this is, it was Sunday. And I said, okay, let's try something. I said, how about Tuesday? And she replies, do you want to go with me? And by this time I'm like, yeah, okay, it's not going to happen. And I say, what if I do? Once again, trying to be a little bit tricky. And then she says, add me on Skype. Here's my nick on Skype. We'll talk there. We'll make plans. Now, when you go on Skype, if you add that person, it will spam you. It will send you, once again, a message with a link to a website. Okay? And here's another one. This is Katie. And with Katie, I had a much longer conversation. Once again, bad English. Hey, Inbar, just found your match from Tinder. Somewhat bored at home. Where part of town ya at? So I was in Denver. I said, I'm in the CBD. You. Now, CBD is the Central Business District. And she's like, nice, same. Now notice the answer. Doesn't matter what the guy says, it works. Nice, same. What's your favorite? By the way, what's your favorite color? What? What? So I'm trying to be tricky. I'm like, the color of a boarding pass. And then I get this long, mine red, suits me, with a spelling mistake. Lol. I don't want to give out any of my personal information over Tinder. Oh my God, it was horrible. Some people would not stop texting me. The creepiest thing, I wanted to cry. You seem like an all right guy. Though, can we meet tonight or maybe this week? I'm pretty much home whenever. Okay, so I'm like, okay, what can I say to make sure it's not a person? So I say, just to make sure of something here, you looked at all my photos, right? I don't like surprises. And she completely ignores that and says, I don't care if we meet somewhere public first or at my place. I'm just looking to have some safe fun, honestly. In the past, I've met blah, 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 blah. And in order for me to know that you're a real person, please hit that link. Aha. Tinder age verify. I didn't verify my age, so she doesn't know how old I am. So, I started tracking the infrastructure. I wanted to know who was behind it, what was going on, where else has it been. So let's look at the initial message. That was my starting point, this Meet Dutch URL. And if you look at that domain name, it no longer works. But if you look at Aristotle, you get historic DNS information, and you get this IP address. And if you look at that IP address, which was registered in March, because that's 9 months ago almost, there are many, many, many domains registered to that IP address, and they all have names such as TindX, Kick Me, Tinder Secure, Blow Tinder, Cookie, Tot Tinder, Yinder, and some other more explicit one. Meet Girls, Meet Dutch, Danish Girl. So you get the point. Someone was being only slightly creative. Now, that's the original one. That's the Meet Dutch. And the thing is that they are all protected. I was trying to see who registered them, but they're all protected by a whois guard, which is kind of annoying because that doesn't let you see who registered it. But out of the 61 different domains that were all registered to the same IP address, 7 of them were different. And I don't know exactly why, maybe because they were registered with certain registrars that don't offer the privacy thing. But these are the 7, and let's look at them. The first one, no success, also has a whois guard, but of a different kind. Can't use that one. The next one, I'm using domain tools. There's a lot of text there. but nothing indicative. This is actually a Swedish domain. And then I go to danishgirl.dk. And here, all of a sudden, we have a contact information. We have a name, we have an address, we have a phone number, and we have an email. Now, if you know anything about registering domains, you know that the only thing that has to be correct is the email address. Everything else can be fake, and the way you know that, 2, 3, 4, 5, no 6, 7, 8, and the address could be whatever, doesn't matter. And I'm assuming that this is a fake identity. So that was the third domain. The fourth one, Meet Girls AT, that's Austria, same information. Meet Girls ES, that's Spain, same information. Girlbuzz in Belgium, same name. I'm not sure how to read that. Plankuls, could be French, could be Dutch. It's in Belgium, same information. And now it's time to connect the dots. How do I know that this is all connected, right? Because I've told you about 2 different bot campaigns, or at least maybe 3 even, in 2 different continents. One is in Europe, in Denmark. The other one is in the United States, in Denver. I'm using a site that's called Scam Advisor, because when people think that they've been scammed, they'll report that. And this is a site that automatically tracks domains. And here's the first one. This is Meet Dutch. You can see that it's redirecting to Daily Sex. And here's meetgirls.at, right? And also leading to Daily Sex. So I know that these are connected, because until now, the only thing that I knew was that they were both leading to the same IP address. But as you know, cloud hosting can have many different websites on the same IP address. So just the fact that they both share the IP address does not necessarily mean that they're connected. But remember Daily Sex? We've seen that one before. This one also connects to the campaign from Denver, because the first girl that sent me the link, that's where I got. So now we connect all the entities from Copenhagen with the entities from Denmark. Now we have this website. It's also protected. I don't know who it is, so I'm left with just an email address. And who is that thing? That person, greg752@gmail.com. I tried scanning the internet. I didn't have much success. So next step would be to use some of my colleagues that have all sorts of darknet and deep web and all sorts of hacker forums access, and I hope that they help me. But if you look at it, you will see that there's another website registered by that email, which I haven't seen at all during my research. And if you look at that domain name and see who registered it, then you get the same email, but a different name. Matthew Durand. Same address, same phone number, different name, same email address. So at this point in time, I don't know who that is. I thought maybe I should email him and say, hey, I want to buy danishgirl.dk, see what happens. But this is where I've been so far. This is as far as my research on that has gone. But that got me curious, because I said, okay, if we have automatic processes that are stealing profiles, stealing information, stealing photos, and building bots for whatever purpose, here we know what the purpose is. The purpose of these Tinder bots is to generate traffic to a porn website, okay? Very simple. Then I started looking at other platforms. And it's a little bit more tricky, but it turns out that in OkCupid, once again, no media here. In OkCupid, there are some parameters in a profile that you create that define who you're looking for. For example, minimum age, maximum age, and then in OkCupid you have to answer many, many questions, and by that they measure your match. They call it like a match or enemy, right? So bots and fake profiles don't answer any questions at all. So you will always have 0% match and 0% enemy. And bots want to get a huge match rate, so they use a relatively large age match, 22 to 48, which is, kind of a lot. And I don't want to be prejudiced, but usually women who date 22-year-olds don't date 48-year-olds, and the other way around. So this doesn't make perfect sense. I'm not saying it's by definition a bot, but it's suspicious, especially when you start seeing more and more of those. And this is an example. I saw this profile allegedly in Tel Aviv. This one actually answered questions, which was very surprising to me because we had an interesting 85% match. That's one of the things that caught my attention. And if you look at the photos, that's a real person, so I covered her face. Then if you have a good eye, then you know that there's no way she's Israeli. This is an American. It's, if you see the landscape, if you see the sports, it's almost certainly an American person. And to my help came Google Chrome, because in Chrome, if you stand on a photo and you right-click, you get search Google for photo. And that led me to a real Facebook profile. So this is the woman. And if you look at her photos, you will see that these are indeed the same photos. Okay? So now I know that there is an OkCupid profile claiming to be in Tel Aviv, where the Facebook profile specifically says that that person lives in the United States. So what does a proper researcher do? You ask. We ask questions. That's what we do. And she says, "Thank you so much for notifying me. This is not me, and that person certainly does not have my permission. Is there a way to report it? And I'd love to see the findings." Because one of the things I had to do in order for her not to think that I was a creep for sending her that message, "Hi, I tracked you by your photo," because it's creepy, was to tell her the truth, to say that I was a security researcher and that I think that someone was faking a profile at her name, and I sent her the link to the profile, and she believed me, which is good. So, back to the presentation. Now we come to the question of how hard is it? Is it a sophisticated thing? What does it take to build this operation? So the most tedious part of this operation is actually registering all the domains. But once you do that, it's not hard at all. If you look at the website of the company that I work at, we look at bots and we define 4 different generations based on the sophistication. And this is mostly about websites, okay? We're talking about Tinder now. It's a little bit different. It's a native API on mobile, but the most simple generation is the one that doesn't even keep cookies. You can look at CURL or wget as one of those bots. You just fetch a URL, you download the page, there's no session, there's nothing. And then it gets more sophisticated. Sometimes, next generation, you actually save the cookie so you can maintain a session, but you don't execute JavaScript. And then you execute JavaScript, but you don't look like a person. You have some engine automation like Selenium or Phantom.js, which is a headless browser. And then the Gen 4, the most sophisticated ones, that cause a completely different set of troubles than this presentation. So I'm not going to talk about that. They can actually imitate a person. They use, hijacked browsers, some malicious extension on your browser. And you know what it takes to do this one? The first 2. Why? Because this is not a website, and Tinder does not test for the authenticity or the human character of the person using it. So all you have to do is install some emulation of an Android, install Tinder, and then over the emulation, create some automation. Right swipe, right swipe, right swipe. And we actually had a researcher in the company do that and prove that it's really easy. And if you actually look at the internet, you will see that some people made a career out of it. The Guardian tells the story of someone who says, "I created a bot to find love online." And reader, it worked. That's the good guy. He actually did that to find a girlfriend. But the dark side does bad things with it, like we've seen. People create fake dating profiles. And who remembers the story of Ashley Madison, the dating site that got hacked? So that website was actually using their own bots to fake profiles because they wanted people to think that the website had many women on it, and it was using sophisticated scripting and all that. So there are good uses for that, and there are bad uses for that, but it is completely not sophisticated, it's completely not difficult. And what I do next is I'm going to travel the world and find some more bots for you and post updates. Thank you if you have any questions.